بمنتهى السهولة يا باشا، دوست موته على طول.
Where are you at?
死んでなかったこいつ。心臓はそうか。譜面が完成した。勝ちに行くぞ。 死んでない。死んでなかったこいつ。心臓はそうか。譜面が完成した。勝ちに行くぞ。
In the club with some ones and I'm high down. Shawty got me out too high. I be standing on the beach in some.
Oh, let's go.
And the view. Oh my god, what happened?
Hey, I'm the backwards dude, and I can talk in reverse. This app will take anything I say and reverse it. So what do you want me to say?
Say I'm not 100 bees working together.
That's pretty dope.
No way.
I'm not 100 bees working together.
What?
Yeah.
How does your brain work?
People are amazed when I tell them
That's pretty dope to be able to sit there and say things in reverse. Yo, that's like a language within itself, you know? That's pretty dope.
I can talk backwards and completely blown away when I do it.
Yo.
407 years ago.
I was reading the best net, Rocks Rolf, 407 years ago.
It almost sounds like he's Irish.
People give me requests for really hard words. Here's an example: anti-disestablishmentarianism.
See, I would have been shocked if he said, what is it? What's that old saying? How much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? That would have been pretty dope.
Anti-disestablishmentarianism. One thing that people like to challenge me to say is, how much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood backwards? And
that's wild.
Is, how much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? Not only can I read backwards and talk backwards, but I can
What
also
the
sing
fudge?
backwards. And that really throws people for a loop.
That's dope.
He said, "Sarkamurf, ned no meh, no ramasa. The summer wind came blowing in from a."
Either time travel is impossible or humanity.
Yeah,
is
nah, I
impossible.
couldn't do
And
that.
by that I mean, if time travel is possible, then
That's
eventually
wild.
someone invents it. It costs billions of dollars to use it, but eventually, if you keep going farther and farther in the future, like everything else technological, it gets cheaper and cheaper, and eventually it's accessible to everyone. And therefore, we should see all around us like tour buses of people from the future, because
the UFOs.
Yeah, because eventually it becomes that cheap. So the fact that there are no tour buses from the future tells us either that time travel is not possible or that we wipe ourselves out before it's invented.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense, but at the same time, I don't think people are going to be super loud about it either. You know what I mean? I don't think people are just going to be, you know, wearing a big sign on their t-shirt saying, hey, I'm from the future or from the past.
I mean, to be honest with you, I think that there's already been people who came from the future and people who came from the past here. It's just we have not really been open-minded to these things. So with that, we're not going to acknowledge that it has happened, you know? And it is what it is. People don't want to believe things that they deem as not part of their reality. They don't see it as something that's real, unfortunately. Pretty stupid, but it is what it is. Stupid asses.
But let me know what you think.
This is really big and terrifying news. Elon Musk just dropped a chilling take on where humanity is headed. He says right now we're sitting front row to the big bang of intelligence, watching artificial intelligence explode in power, evolve, and reshape everything. And here's what hit hard. Elon says we have to ask ourselves, are we living in a Gene Roddenberry future like Star Trek, where tech brings progress and peace? Or are we heading for a James Cameron future like Terminator?
What's up,
where
K-Dot?
tech spirals into war, destruction, and collapse? Even Elon admits there's still a real risk of annihilation. And the worst thing we can do right now is get complacent, acting like everything's just going to turn out fine. Because here's the truth. This isn't just about cool gadgets or smart machines. We are living in the moment that could reshape or erase humanity itself. Elon's warning us. The only question left is, are we listening?
In 2024, something strange was seen in the skies over.
Ain't nobody listening. People don't want to believe anything these days.
This one
if it goes against what they were taught is normal, they refuse to believe it.
Through the sky.
Unfortunately.
Sky jellyfish.
So sad. So sad.
It was breathing. If it wasn't a machine, what was it? Fortean winds. Not all visitors are made of metal.
Hey, that was either a UFO hidden in plain sight or the ugliest drone that you or I have ever seen. Let me know what you think, though.
Ariana Grande might have accidentally
I've seen this
revealed the
before.
secrets about celebrities.
Yeah,
dyeing
you
their
do
blonde.
see a lot of blonde hair in the celebrity line.
Close. Yeah? Yo, usually
Weird.
when people start blowing up, they dye their hair blonde. Yeah. Ariana Grande, she was actually on the red carpet and she kind of made a joke. I don't remember.
You know what? They did the Brighter Days memory erasure treatment to me, so I'm having trouble remembering the details. They're foggy.
What she's referencing is her music video. People are speculating in this video she's trying to reveal the truth about dyeing your hair blonde. Now,
What you think? Do you think that's a real thing, that celebrities really go through something like that to where they get their memory erased? If that's the case, do you think that they're erasing a lot of our memories as well? What if that's like the whole MK Ultra thing?
that's a callback to a Jim Carrey movie. I forgot what it's called. But in the beginning of the video, she has brown hair. Yeah. Theory is the blonde hair isn't them dyeing their hair blonde. It's a result of going through the procedure. When you dunk your head into the liquid, they go through the memory erasure or they go through the brainwashing. It changes the color of your hair. What? That's his theory.
Have you guys ever seen these photos of what washed up on the shore straight off the coast of St. Augustine?
No.
In the late 1800s, this like unidentified creature thing washed up on the shore. It's like 18 feet long, but what's super interesting is they said it had 7 legs and a tail, but as like research has continued on this creature, they're surmising wasn't a tail, it was the 8th appendage, and most of the octopus-like arms had been cut pretty short, you know. But when you think about some of the earliest stories of creatures like this, or like the pirate era,
Kraken.
yeah, they're saying because of the size of this thing, and if it were an actual octopus, the tentacles could have been like 100 foot long. Because they're like, you can see them in the photos, but they're like this big around at the nubs. They took samples and they compared it to octopus, and they're calling it a giant octopus. That's what it is. Whoa. But yeah, this is right off the coast, right off St. Augustine. So all those pictures we see of pirates and stuff, that is real. And for some reason, we don't know about it.
Oh my gosh.
Where's the rest of those suckers?
I mean, there's definitely a lot of the ocean that we haven't explored yet. So there
True.
might be a ton of giant squids that we haven't seen yet, and that specific squid just happened to escape being lunchtime from a giant shark. You know, who knows?
The megalodon. It escaped the megalodon.
Helping NASA defend Earth from alien contamination? The job could be yours. 6 figures to report to the Office of Planetary Protection, and I'm not making this up.
Now let me see which one of the iTrack fam is going to sign up to fight aliens. Go ahead, let me know in the comments, man, because I doubt.
I mean, in all honesty, majority of the individuals on this planet are aliens. Majority of the people on this planet are aliens. So you're not really doing anything, but it's going to be equivalent of fighting your true family, in all honesty. What's up, Shenanigans? How you doing?
And I mean anything. We can't even discuss it. The things that this man is capable of bringing to you. But believe me, he has Miami on lock. But this is the love affair, baby. This is the love affair, baby.
Diddy and Ross and Khaled, they all gay.
DJ Khaled, Rick Ross, and P. Diddy?
Yeah.
They all gay?
Yeah.
I mean, I believe it. I mean, in all honesty, this whole case that's happened with Diddy, they're showing it's okay to be a freak. Like, how's that song go? I can be a freak. I can be a freak. I can be a freak every day of every. That's Sean Diddy Combs right there, and seems like a great majority of the celebrity population. They are freaks. And I mean, hey, work hard, play harder, right? They taking it harder for sure.
Pasadena, California. That's where the world's first ever fully autonomous AI-powered restaurant has opened, complete with burger flipping bots. We sent CBS's Joy Benedict on a taste test.
Flippy the chef makes Spud spectacular. This automated grill gives the meat its sizzle as this restaurant goes robotic.
For this burger, it would take about 120 seconds.
Cali Express by Flippy is the world's first AI-powered eatery. There's new technology outside the kitchen, too.
A cheeseburger.
Order.
I have a feeling that they are selling bioengineered meats there. I mean, you already got artificial intelligence. Why don't you just go ahead and throw in the lab-grown meats there also? So people are going there getting fed by AI, not realizing that they're eating lab-grown meats. And I don't even want to know what those French fries are, because I bet you it's not potatoes. Man, this is wild. This is wild. This is the world that we have. This is the world that we are in now. Nothing is real anymore. You can't even get human interaction from individuals out in the world currently. Everybody is upset, has an attitude. They're always mad about something. Or if you find people who are pretty cool that you could talk to, it's a lot of surface level because they're so standoffish or cautious because of all the trauma that they've gone through in their lives. It's like they're very defensive. This world, God, I wish the world was still the same as it was when I was like 10, 11 years old, where you can go outside and play as a child and not have to worry about getting kidnapped and all this extra stuff that's happening now. This is BS.
Can anybody else see what's happening? Within the next couple of years, nobody's gonna have a job. In this video, in the comment section of the video,
you will own nothing and be happy.
Everybody's celebrating and they're saying, oh, finally, our orders aren't going to be wrong. Dude, they're making robots for everything. Your blue-collar job's going to be gone too. Your white-collar job, those are going to be gone with AI. There's going to be no jobs. Nobody's going to be able to work. This is the beast system rising. Like, pretty soon, they're going to tell everybody nobody's going to be able to work. You got to take a certain mark.
So I can see how that could be looked at as negative, but I'm looking towards the positive of that. If you don't need to work, my question is, are we still going to have to pay for everything? Because if nobody has a job and nobody has to work, are we still going to need to pay for everything? And if the money system goes down the drain, does that mean we'll have more time to do the things that we enjoy? Will we have more time to be out in nature? Will we have more time to focus on ourselves? Will we have more time to tap in and utilize our creativity? Those are questions that I have. That's what I want to know. Because, okay, cool, robots can take over things. Eventually, I imagine that it probably will end up taking over the world and try and cause people to be slaves in some way, whatever robots feel they can't do, try and get humans to do. Politicians and all that stuff may be taken over by robots. Oh gosh, I can Terminator. But at the same time, that would allow you as a human being, what we call ourselves these days, as an earthling, I'll just put it like that, as an earthling, to focus on you. I don't see focusing on yourself as a bad thing. There's a lot of people now who really need to focus on themselves and heal and all that other stuff, but they choose not to. And there's every excuse in the world of why they don't. So if they have no choice, well, I wouldn't say have no choice, but if they have the opportunity and the time to do so, maybe it could be a good thing, but I can also see with the fear-mongering how it could be a bad thing.
And you got to pledge your allegiance to this certain system that's going to come into place. That talks about.
No man knows the day or the hour. So there's really no need to stress out about, when, where, or why. You know what I mean? You just got to make sure all your affairs are in order. That's really the key.
Ask 100 married women. If you could have a second husband for only one purpose, what would it be? Something like 70% said just for sex.
Whoa, damn.
A second husband for only one purpose.
Just for getting stuffed.
That's rough. Just sex.
That's a fucking wake-up call for a lot of dudes out there.
A lot of guys.
Let's end on that.
A membrane.
He said, let's end on that.
Can slide across. These aren't contacts.
What the fuck? What the helly? What the hellion? Why are his eyes going yellow? Bruh, is your kidney failing?
Over here in the light. This is my eye. You can see it's just a slight variation of color that I'm able to toggle back and forth.
I can do that too.
But
watch this. I have this thing on here. It allows me to do something similar. Watch my eyes. Y'all gonna be like, what the fuck? Where is it at? Here we go. So, peep game. So look. I have an app on my computer. It's interesting. Let me stop. I'm messing around. But yeah, true talk, no lie, there's a way to do everything.
But that's basically what we have going on.
Not saying that's what the individual is doing, but I noticed that once before.
Those changes. So what have we done?
Yeah,
went to the VA, went to specialists.
Why'd you
put a cry out here on TikTok?
You went to the VA. The VA is not going to help with. The VA is. I'm not going to talk bad about that. The VA, but a lot of places that are VA, I've noticed that it's also usually learning hospitals.
It seems that I'm not the only person that has some weird eyes going on like this. So if you
what do you think? I got any veterans watching?
Like this going on,
what have been your experiences with the VA?
I'm so proud of him. See, y'all gotta understand, he came to my office in this fly-ass neon suit. He went from neon suits to designing shit.
What's up, Manny? How you doing?
His own hotels to beauty.
What's his name? Pharrell? Is it Pharrell?
King, God, musical producer, visionary, genius, philanthropist, and now hotel owner. Thank you, bro. Of the Good Time.
He got diddied.
And also, I just want to give y'all
y'all horrible.
Let y'all know
they said he got diddied.
News. He's here too.
Yeah. And he said, Ross, I know this is demonic. We shouldn't be having anything to do with it. It has no control systems, no control surfaces, no visible propulsion system. No dials, no levers, no buttons. It's a shell. It's operated by consciousness.
I mean, is being operated by consciousness really a bad thing? Because the way that I understand it, we are a shell. We are, outside of this realm, we're known as containers. We are containers for spirits, consciousness, souls, whatever you want to call it. Is that the reason why in the Bible it says, protect your temple? Something to think about. Anyway.
Hybrid agenda. And if there is, what is it?
Yeah, so there are many, many hybrid agendas. Again, as I was mentioning, there are dark,
like a dungeon dragon,
reptilian kind of agendas.
Like a dungeon dragon, like a dungeon dragon.
The purpose of them are the destruction and fractalization, fragmentation of the soul.
Okay.
When a soul is fractalized, it becomes entangled in a space, in a dimension. And so that means that it has to keep coming back. That's what the reincarnation cycle is about. We essentially keep reincarnating in loops, and we keep repeating things. And for some of us, we've been repeating in loops for centuries. We have lives and lives that are condensed into maybe this one dimension for a long time. What? And the key is that when the human wakes up consciousness, they can break those cycles, those patterns.
No way.
So the hybridization program functions in the same way. It is the sustainability of the interdimensional matrix. And the interdimensional matrix is functioning within the 13-dimensional layers of this realm. 13
Say it ain't so.
From which all of these species that we talk about, from the Draconians to the Arcturians to the light beings to the highest dimensional level, all of those races are managing different kinds of exchange of consciousness in order to fractalize and utilize soul core life force. So this hybridization program that is inverted is terrestrial. There is a terrestrial program that is managed by the Biological Warfare Department here in yeah, exactly. And this shadow government that manages these hybridization programs are primarily focused on cloning. They also utilize our DNA in order to create clones. And the purpose of that is in order to create alternate worlds that continue to sustain life force for the more parasitic systems in our reality. They feed off of clones, which are in unconscious states, beings that are on purpose deactivated DNA. And what happens when you deactivate DNA? You become a programmable organism that you can program and you can bring into the reincarnation cycle as many times as you want until the organism somehow wakes up consciousness. And we essentially are whatever generation of those programs.
So we're clones.
Mythological creatures in the Bible. How come they never taught me this in school? 2 Samuel chapter 23 verse 20 says that a warrior of God called Benaiah killed 2 lion men of Moab. The Hebrew word here for lion men is Ario, and the suffix
lion
El at
men.
the end means that they are gods. These half-lion, half-human beings have been recorded in other passages in the Bible and in other ancient texts. 1 Chronicles chapter 12 verse 8 says that warriors from the Gadite tribe joined King David in his army. These beings were described as being lion-like men with supernatural powers. The word Ariel is not only attributed to these half-lion, half-human beings in the Bible.
Look at that.
It is also attributed to these beings in other ancient texts, like the Nag Hammadi. The Nag Hammadi was an ancient Gnostic text that speaks of an ancient Gnostic deity called Yaldabaoth. Yaldabaoth was described as being a Ariel, and he was a god-like lion deity. So according to the original Hebrew of the Bible, we can conclude that the Bible is talking about a mythical-like lion human hybrid.
I didn't even catch that. Bruh, I didn't even catch that. That's funny. What the hell was that? What the fudge was that?
Towards maintaining their superhuman abilities, he traces the origins of vampirism to the sacred
Hey, I got that, Mike.
race who later founded the Anunnaki religion of the Sumerians, and whose ancestors are identified as the Anunnaki gods themselves. Central to these cultures was the rite of the vampire, a tantric hermetic royal rite involving the consumption of blood or essences, which was believed to enhance intelligence, promote longevity, and increase psychic abilities. Blood was also referred to as, quote, starfire, due to their belief that blood draws in the essences of the stars, which...
Yo, interesting, crazy, random thought. What if Earthlings or human beings, whatever you want to call us, what if we're just like a food source to like everybody else? Either they're there to drain us of our energy, suck us of our life force, drink our blood, eat our flesh. What if we're really just, what if they just, everything else just sees us as nourishment in some way? What if our whole purpose was to feed these motherfuckers the whole time? That would suck. Oh my gosh.
Can then be consumed to obtain superhuman and psychic powers. These vampires are said to have specific genetic adaptations that specifically allow them to harness the powers of consumed blood. It is also said that regular engagement in these blood drinking practices could enhance your lifespan by over 33%. Other occult researchers suggest that both menstrual and blood were considered crucial in creating the Philosopher's Stone that could grant eternal life and access to higher metaphysical realms. Examples of royal vampirism include Elizabeth Bathory, the quote blood countess, who allegedly bathed in blood to retain her youth, as well as Gilles de Rais, a French nobleman who was said to have sacrificed in his alchemical quest for power and immortality. Follow me for more hidden knowledge.
With all that being said, if
The
you're not a vampire, don't even think about it, because drinking any kind of blood will damage you, and bad.
Does this video prove that Elon Musk was high in front of President Trump? It shows the world's richest man at a dinner party at Mar-a-Lago doing something baffling, balancing a fork and 2 spoons on one finger. That woman next to him watching on is Siobhan Gillis, the mother of 4 of his children. In another video taken that night, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt stops by to chat, but Elon ignores her, captivated by his spoons.
Elon, what the hell are you doing?
It happened in March, but resurfaced on social media after a New York Times article last week claimed Musk...
That's actually pretty cool.
...family drama on the campaign trail. He was taking so much ketamine that it was affecting his bladder. This is what drugs do to your brain, goes one snarky reaction to the video. Even the Secret Service looks embarrassed, goes another. Elon is firing back. I'm not on ketamine for blank's sake. I do not take drugs. The New York Times is lying. I tried prescription ketamine a few years ago. It helps with dark periods, but I haven't taken it since.
See, I was like, yo, that's actually pretty interesting.
I don't know, y'all. It seemed like he just might have been really locked in.
Yeah.
I don't think he can be doing drugs and bouncing these spoons and forks on your pinky, but if you know something,
Yeah, that's pretty dope. That's pretty dope. I'm probably gonna try that later.
Not an object,
What do you had? A spoon and a fork, and I think it was a knife too. I think he had a butter knife.
Bridge between 2
That's pretty dope.
state changes in the mass-bound
Yeah, it looks like
world.
my wife's Kegel balls.
This is not a particle traveling through space, but a massless instruction linking 2 massful configurations. A photon does not occupy time. It defines
does
a
not?
relationship between mass-based events
Really?
that do.
You're
It does not
supposed to
defy
go out and
time?
try to change anyone. Those who are already enlightened, they're already advanced, they realize what's happening now, they're already there. You don't have to worry about it. The other ones that are so deep into negativity, we're not going to be able to make a difference anyway. They
Testing.
have to find their own way. Man
All
has
right.
destroyed civilizations down through time, and each time
I messed up.
it's usually with the bad use of their mind, the misuse of the powers of their mind, and each time it'd start all over again.
Dolores! I remember the first time I've seen this woman. The things that she said, I was like, yo. I think that was like the first time I really opened my mind and started thinking about things that are not what society would consider normal, part of this realm, part of reality. It's crazy.
And from the beginning, and create a totally new civilization, a new world. This is part of the developing of our psychic powers, bringing that back, changing this because we're going to carry it on instead of destroying the world and starting all over again. That's why we're having all this chaos and problems right now as the two try to decide and separate and shift. And there's many souls that are coming in right now to be here for it. They volunteered to come. The call went out throughout the universe. Volunteers to come and help. They have to be souls that are pure, that have not known violence, have no karma to repay, to come in and help raise the consciousness of those who are here. And these people don't know they're one of these.
Souls that don't know violence.
But they have no idea on the conscious level they are one of these who have volunteered.
Coming to this planet though is just a pure
to help raise the consciousness of the world.
When Christopher Columbus first got to America, he actually
I dislike being here. That's what they mean by hell on earth. Like True Talk No Lie, I feel like that's hell on earth.
Wrote down
Earth is hell.
And then that writing was actually considered banned or something. They don't want you to know what he wrote. Type in Hernan Cortez giants. He says straight up in his quote that there is the posterity of giants they believe to exist here. He said they brought him the leg bone of one, which was from the hip to the knee. And he said, I measured myself against it, and it was as tall as I am. Though I am a man of reasonable height, he said, this must assuredly be.
Yo, what if... Well, I doubt that other mythical creatures have tried erasing humans from their life, like from their history, just because of the fact that we are here, we roam, and think that we own every damn thing. So it's going to be pretty... We're not like everything else that's trying to hide from us. Because humans, we're fucking destructive. We are destructive. Like, we want to destroy everything for capital gain. And it's ridiculous. It's so annoying, to be honest with you. Very annoying. But I'm like, I feel that all the mythical creatures that we call them mythical creatures, they talk about humans, and I wonder what they say about us. What do they say about humans? You know? Like, I'm curious to know what they say about humans. Excuse me. Check out my dad. But I wonder what mythical creatures say about humans. Because I want to know the true history of what really happened in the past. Because we are trying to erase them from history to make it seem as if we're the only intelligent creatures on this planet. And everything else that's here, I want to know what the history of humanity truly is. Because seeing how the world is right now, I don't believe that we are the smartest out there. And I mean, they had taught, I believe it was a gorilla in the past, sign language, and it signed to the teachers of it that humans are dumb. Like, and I agree. Humans are stupid.
Giants in the land. Basically, they get here, and there was dog-headed people, and there was giants. They got here and just like killed them. Type in any early explorer giants or dog-headed people or something. You're gonna find some writings. You're gonna be like, why didn't they teach us this in school? Or how about it really existed and they just don't want you to know about it because it points to the Bible? Like, it validates that God is true. Everything that we know about the biblical text is not what we're assuming.
I mean, even if you do a little bit of research, you know that the Nephilim and the giants, they do exist, you know, but I definitely wouldn't take it from Christopher Columbus. Boy, you know he's cap.
Still looking.
Said aliens are on the far side.
I don't
of the moon,
think that's
and
an
they
elf.
are not our friends. It's a very interesting story. Ingo Swann, very interesting cat.
So what took these photographs?
The moon surveyor, lunar surveyor, satellite.
And none of that stuff's ever been released?
Oh, they released a lot of images from the far side, but they release what they release. That's why we know there's fewer impacts on the far side, because we've seen those images.
But there's no images of these domes or whatever?
No. I've seen some that maybe are faked, that look pretty compelling. I forget what episode I just showed them in, but when I found them, it was mind-blowing. And I can't find them again for some reason. Like, I wanted them for another episode, and I can't find the photos. is always suspicious to me. It's like suddenly the thing is blurry off of Malibu. So you just can't find the stuff. But you know,
That's
my
something
gut
to think
tells me
about.
something's going on up there.
Yeah.
Someone's aware of it.
Yeah.
And I'm dying to know what it is.
I am too.
It would be unbelievable if Mars was the first planet that had life before Earth was capable of supporting life. It reached a very high level of sophistication and then started seeding Earth.
I can see that.
Panspermia theory.
Yeah.
I believe we have at least one rock from Mars that just landed here. I think we have one of those. So for maybe a giant impact or something through some of Mars over here.
But the idea, I think, is that their atmosphere was deteriorating, or that they were getting further and further from the sun.
Their magnetic field was weakening, strips away the atmosphere.
And so this would be the thing. If you were a super advanced civilization, the race would get so advanced that you could leave your planet.
Yes.
And that's the only way you're going to survive, because eventually your planet is going to move over millions of years further and further away from the sun.
I can see that.
Not able to inhabit life anymore.
Right, so maybe send your DNA or whatever to the third rock.
Or Anunnaki.
Or Anunnaki.
That's
yeah, they show up everywhere.
That's the ultimate one.
That is the big one. The Anunnaki's the big one.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's one that makes you go, oh.
Because it shows up everywhere. It shows up in the Bible. It shows up in the Mahabharata. It shows up in ancient Chinese literature. It shows up everywhere. Not always called the Anunnaki, but the Anunnaki, and then they have their servile species that could be the Nephilim, could be the giants, and then they take these primitive humans, give them just enough intelligence to mine the gold. It's part of the lore.
To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment.
It's also a reason why a lot of people would end up hating or speak down on somebody for being different, because they're not fitting into societal norms. You are not being programmed to be like everybody else. You are your own individual person, which therefore now will bring a lot of attention to you because you're not doing what everybody else is doing. If let me put it like this, it's literally crabs in a barrel. One tries to escape, all the others try to pull it back in. It's wild. It's wild to think about. You being who you are upsets other people because they're not being who they are. Wild to think about.
Everywhere you turn, there's a voice telling you who you should be, what to wear, what to think, what success must look like. And so you bend quietly, subtly,
I'm good.
Until you no longer recognize
Fuck
the
'em
shape
all.
you once were.
F 'em. 10 dicks, no
world is
lube.
loud.
That's
It
where I
demands
stand.
you to fit in. But the soul only whispers. And if you do not listen, you will spend your life
That motherfucker look
performing,
creepy as shit.
not living. To be yourself in such a world, to speak with your own voice, to live by your own
Your
rhythm,
voice.
that is no small rebellion. That is greatness.
Here are some animals that are much more dangerous than society wants you to believe. Snails. Freshwater Garys are estimated to erase about 200,000 names from the census every trip around the sun, thanks to parasites that can threaten your entire way of life.
Damn.
Not to mention the cone snails, one of the most venomous animals alive. And since they use a combination of up to 50 different toxins, and every snail has a different combination, there is no antidote if you get stung. Squirrels.
Damn.
Since these tree rats insist on chewing on anything that isn't nailed down, house inspectors estimate that about 20% of house fires in the US are caused by these buck-toothed bastards biting on electrical wires. Thousands of houses get turned into ashtrays by them a year, and since we can't always trace it back to them, we have no way of knowing just how high their body count really is. Bees, but not just any bees, Africanized honeybees. They're more homicidal than their European cousins, and they've been known to chase people for up to half a mile, all while delivering 10 times the stings.
Damn.
If you try to duck the smoke by jumping into water, these merc flies have been known to wait just above the surface for you to come up. They flatlined about 1,000 people, along with dogs and horses too.
Yeah.
There's so many ways nature can airdrop.
I remember one of my dogs got stung by a bee. Face swelled up. I was like, what the hell happened to you?
That link right there. Get you a copy.
Hey, check out my boy's book, man. He does put work into these videos, and he definitely gives some good information, man, and very entertaining.
I'm not only watching this, reacting to, ooh, that is nice. I want to make a house like that.
It's unknowable. What if the singularity's already happened and they're the ones that are running the whole show already, and Elon's just one of the minions trying to integrate everybody with the brain chips and turn this thing biological, and maybe create an army and manipulate Google, and maybe it's all being run by AI right now. We just don't even fucking know it.
Well, that's not impossible, and that would be hard for us to know.
Dark art of reading.
It's not impossible.
One,
It'll be hard
if
for
a
us to
stranger
know.
locks eyes with you for too long, it's rarely innocent. It's dominance, or worse, a challenge. Two, they place their phone face down. Psychologists say it's often a subtle sign of secrecy. They're hiding something, even if it's just their attention. Three, ask someone what they're thinking while they're zoned out. If their hand drifts near their brow or nose, they're lying. The body betrays what words conceal. 4. Ever seen a group laugh? Watch closely. People instinctively glance at the one they're most attracted to, even if they don't realize it. 5. Fist on the table and a shout? That's real anger. But if the fist comes first, followed by a pause, then yelling, that's a performance. They're gauging your reaction. 6. Excessive blinking isn't just nerves, it's judgment. You're being evaluated whether you ask for it or not. Watch. Listen. Most people tell the truth, just not with their words. Now listen carefully.
Facts.
If you want to learn dark psychology deeply,
And that's why they say pay attention to a person's actions, not just their words. Listen to what they say, but their actions will tell on them. If their actions are not aligning to the things that they're saying, you know not to trust that person. Don't trust that person. It's a lot harder to hide the truth based off your body language than it is to tell a lie, to say something that's not true. In other words, it's a lot easier to bullshit somebody, but your body will tell on you. If you don't know how to read body language, you can fall for a lot of things. That's part of how a lot of people will manipulate you. They'll say the things that they feel that you want to hear, but their body language would be telling you something different. Unfortunately, they call that dark psychology, but no, this is things that I teach my children because I've been manipulated before, and I want my children to be smart enough to recognize these signs, you know?
then my book link is in bio, and follow Mind Under Glass to become the most powerful person.
Now, you know I was going to leave you with something to hold on to, right? Yeah, those are gems.
Here's a tactic that all intelligence operatives learn, and it's called elicitation. You use statements instead of questions to get the most powerful information from other people.
I need to get some
When a
WD-40
person's
for
being
this door,
asked
babe.
a question,
need-
it raises a
Oh, you gotta go back?
a little
What'd you forget
door
now?
in the brain
What'd you
that
forget
says,
now?
I need to be careful about the answer.
Huh? They got dish soap? Oh. Okay. Shame on you. I'm joking. No.
It's already 12:30 though.
It is? Yes. All right, cool. I'm gonna end this because I gotta start these spam musubis with the kids.
I'm not dirty.
If you're gonna close the door because I'm tired of hearing the squeaking.
I know I have to change.
I feel like Wednesday's gonna pop in and just stare. Well, that's you. So I guess. Oh, look, I manifested it into reality.
Please be careful and don't drop another coal on the carpet.
I'm not. Gosh. Oops, my hand slipped. I'm joking.
I know you're joking because they're still
And the
like,
eye twitch.
still lit.
I mean, I'm always lit.
I gotta change clothes because I'm all dirty now. Cause I let them.
Ooh.
I had them pull up the old lettuce because it was starting to bolt.
Yeah.
And I had them each choose a different type of lettuce. They each have their own. One's white and one's green. So they got their own. I had them put their own dirt in there. Stick their little finger in to put the little seeds in there.
Mhm.
Only for your son to not be paying attention because I gave him so he could pinch it. And he pinched. And then when he went to look, he went like this. So he pinched, but he dumped all the seeds.
Oh.
So then he ended up having to pinch the dirt. I don't know how his is gonna grow.
Wait. So did the seeds fall
It
to
fell-
downstairs?
No, it fell
Oh.
into his pot, into the dirt.
Uh-huh.
But you know, lettuce seeds are like the size of half of a grain of rice. So he tried to pinch it from the dirt and sprinkle it around.
But he tilted his hand and dropped the rest into the dirt.
The rest into the dirt.
Well, it sounds like he's got to get the dirt and go like this in a big pot.
In a really big pot, because he picks the big lettuce.
Oh, the big heads of lettuce?
Yes.
So, in other words, she's going to be grabbing
He's gonna be upset, 'cause
little
it's not going to bunch together how he wants it to.
lettuce
It's gonna
patch
be
kids.
it'll be too crowded.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to have to, when it starts to grow, I'm going to have to start picking them with little tweezers and putting them in little pots.
Oh, gosh.
Well, if you don't, it's going to die.
Well, no, I'm
He's gonna
not
be upset.
saying anything bad. I'm just saying, to see you out there with tweezers, I'm like, do I need to follow behind you with scissors to cut the grass? Look, we're landscaping. We're doing a Brazilian to the garden.
Because listen, oh my God, and then they're like trying to like, let's go see what the carrots are doing. I was like, it's only been a week. They're trying to like dig and see.
No sense of time. Ma, we planted them yesterday. They should be sprouting.
Right. I was like, no.
Doesn't work
And
like
I
that.
don't know if I want to start the onions this season or next season, because it takes about like 40
Next
something
season.
days.
Next season.
I was like, but it still
But
kind of maintains a regular temperature here, so I wasn't exactly sure.
Next season.
Next season?
Yeah,
So
because
I was
remember
gonna
we're
put
about to
red
be.
and yellow onions in a big.
We got to shift a lot of things.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So next season, and so right now, take this as more as an experimental. So that way when we. Yeah. We'll talk more on it a little later. I'm on live right now.
Okay. Tomorrow I'm gonna have Zachariah cut his 2 cucumbers.
Okay.
Because you're supposed to cut the first ones. I let him keep them for a while so you can see it, but you're supposed to cut the first ones.
Okay.
Cut the first ones off so it can get more.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. I'm about to get back into this. And yeah.
If you're responding to a statement, your brain does not have that little security guard that comes out. And so, as a light example, let's just imagine you and me took an Uber to get here. And let's imagine you and me we're going to take an Uber back after this. We get into that Uber and I say, I just read online that Uber drivers were rated.
I don't know why I
job
always get so excited
satisfaction
seeing the
of all
smoke.
jobs
It's like
in
it's
the country.
dancing. It's so
that starts
erratic.
a conversation.
Ooh. Twirl
then
and twist
he
for me,
says,
Smokey.
No, it's really bad. I do this, and they take the money and this. And then I do disbelief. This is another technique. Disbelief says, no way. There's no way that company would treat you like that. He goes, oh yeah, you will never guess what happened just a couple of weeks ago. And then he just kind of goes into this deep story that he would never tell another client.
Unless
who
it was a
does
friend.
he tell these stories to? Friends. I've made his brain start behaving in friend mode, and I haven't even asked any questions yet.
1. If you're getting ready to leave the house and you start dropping things out of nowhere, don't go. Your spirit knows
If you're getting ready to leave the house, you start dropping things out of nowhere. Don't go. Your spirit knows something that you do not.
something your body doesn't. 2. If you're in public and become fixated on something for no reason,
Leave.
You're being pulled, not drawn. 3. If you're walking alone and suddenly feel watched, don't keep walking. Run, even if it feels silly.
I don't know that one.
4. If someone offers you food in a dream, cleanse the moment you wake up. Not everything feeding you is nourishing you. 5. If your reflection ever lags behind your movement in a dream or in a mirror,
that's not you.
That's not you. Back away.
Yep.
6. If you walk into a room and forget why you came, leave, then come back. Something may have stepped in your place.
Oh, wow.
7. If someone from your past shows up in a dream, smiling, check your energy.
Nope.
Not every visitor is friendly.
Facts.
8. If the wind moves strong but nothing around you shifts, cover yourself. Something is passing through and it sees you.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that one. I did not know that one. If the wind is blowing strong but nothing around you moves, cover yourself. Something is passing by and it sees you. Whoo, that's scary to think about.
9. If your left ear rings and the air feels heavy, don't speak. Just listen. You're not alone. 10. If you smell flowers, perfume, or smoke and no one else does, don't follow it. Someone or something is watching you remember them.
The following footage is actually coming out of Temumua, Veracruz, Mexico. Dozens of witnesses captured an unidentified being emerging from on top of a tree, and they have no explanation as to what it is or who it is or why they are up there. Take a look at this footage.
What
Comment
the
below.
heck?
Tell me what you think this could be.
Nah, I'm gonna have to like see what dog is barking because people can just add sounds to things these days. I don't trust it. I don't know what that is. Is it like a shadow being that finally emerged into this realm? Oh, it's got clothes
like
on though.
Kind of bruja, right? Kind of witch. Let me know what you think.
It's got clothes on.
Girl, smile if you're alive.
Oh hell no, no, son, nah. No.
Facts like it shouldn't exist. The moon is about 25% of Earth's size, the biggest moon to planet ratio of our entire solar system. Pluto's not a planet, that doesn't count. That's 72 times larger than the expected average moon to planet ratio of our solar system. Moons are just not supposed to be this big relative to their home planet, but sure, maybe we got lucky. Despite this, the moon is only 1% of Earth's mass. 1%, meaning it is way lighter than it's expected to be, and we really don't even know why. Unless, of course, the moon is either extremely porous like a sponge or a hollow shell. When looking at this data, NASA's own Dr. Gordon McDonald even said himself it would seem that the moon is more like a hollow than a homogeneous sphere. But oh, that's just the tip, and we ain't stopping. Our moon's orbit is way closer than that of any of the other over 400 moons in our solar system, and also has a near perfectly circular orbital path. We don't see this on any other planet, which all have moons with wildly eccentric orbits. Our moon also coincidentally appears as the exact same size as the sun in our sky. Despite our sun having a diameter 400 times larger than the moon just so happens to be exactly 400 times closer to us.
That doesn't make
all
sense.
Odds of randomness, but is officially deemed just a cosmic coincidence. The moon also happens to be tidally locked with our planet, meaning its rotational period is the same as its orbital period around the Earth, which is why the same side is always facing us. This one is not so much a coincidence, as tidally locked moons are actually fairly common in our solar system. But it would also be the perfect excuse for the moon to always look the same in our sky and for us to never see what's on the other side, like an all-seeing eye that never ceases surveillance of our planet. We don't even know for sure how our moon even got there in the first place. The most common explanation is that the early Earth collided with a massive protoplanet called Theia about 4.5 billion years ago, which was thought to be roughly the size of Mars, and the impact caused the resulting debris to coalesce and eventually form the moon. This is known as the giant impact theory. There's also the fission hypothesis, where an early molten Earth was spinning so fast that a part of it got ejected out into space and became the moon. The capture theory, implying the moon just drifted by Earth and was captured by its gravity. And the accretion theory, suggesting that as the early Earth was forming in its accretion disk, a part of that disk clumped together to become the moon. But when studying rock samples from the surface of the moon, we find out that none of these theories quite make any sense, with other NASA scientists like Dr. Robin Brett further quoted as saying it seems much easier to explain the non-existence of the moon than its existence. Like on Earth, the newest rocks are on the surface, and the deeper we go, the older the rocks get, as we would naturally expect to be the case. On the moon, it's the other way around. Soil samples from the moon confirm that older rocks are on the surface, and they get younger the deeper we go. The only time we ever see this inverse relationship of rock layer depth to rock age on Earth is through human interaction, like drilling, digging holes and boring tunnels. Did the same thing happen on the moon? If the moon was hollowed out from the inside, this older inner rock would be brought up to the surface, and this observation would make sense. The lunar crust is also thinner on the side of the moon facing the Earth and thicker on the dark side of the moon, and researchers still have no idea why. The moon doesn't have a magnetic field, much the same as other planets' moons, but strangely, moon rock samples are strongly magnetized. Craters on the moon are all virtually the same depth, no matter how big or small they are. On Earth, bigger craters naturally go much deeper than smaller ones as the impact was greater. Not on the moon, almost like there's a solid layer underneath preventing the crater from going too deep. Moon rocks are also much older than the oldest rocks on Earth by millions of years, blowing the fission hypothesis and accretion theory out of the water. The moon contains traces of uranium-236, a radioactive isotope that doesn't occur naturally on Earth, but rather through the highly complicated scientific process of nuclear fission, something that only an intelligent species is capable of. Zirconium, chromium, and titanium are all relatively rare earth metals, but are somehow quite
What
abundant
the
on the moon.
fudge
Those
is
three
that?
elements are also some of the most durable and corrosive resistant that we know of, perfect for building a massive structure. And they've even done quantifiable experiments that tell us that's exactly what the moon might be. When Apollo 12 was leaving the moon's orbit, they intentionally dropped their lunar lander down to the surface. When it crashed, seismic measurements showed that the moon reverberated and rang like a bell for an hour. They did not expect this. Only hollow objects are expected to reverb like this, especially with something as small as a lunar lander. During Apollo 13, they tested that again with a much larger object, dropping a spent Saturn V booster rocket that impacted the lunar surface. This time, the moon rang for 3 hours, with vibrations going as deep as 32 kilometers beneath the surface, and even got faster the deeper they got. This doesn't happen on Earth, or even solid objects for that matter, and again is only expected to occur on something hollow.
So basically what he's saying is...
Huh?
Seriously. Huh? Stop. I'm just trying to give you a kiss. When I walk away, then you want to do right?
Be careful though. It's hot, hot, hot.
You play too much.
I like mangoes like I like my coochie.
Are you gonna do the thing with the kids, or do I need
Yes.
to take them with me?
I am. I gotta keep stopping. Should be done by now.
It's got nothing to do with me. It's only the second time I came in here.
Yeah, I know.
To get some dish soap.
Don't believe what they're telling you about the moon because it doesn't particularly make sense. And I definitely agree. But let me know what you think.
Adam and Eve ate from the tree of what?
The knowledge of good and evil.
Yep.
Right. So before
And what
they
is
ate
the
from
good
that
and
tree,
evil?
they didn't have an understanding of good and evil, did they?
No. What's
But
up,
they were
Gio?
given the command not to eat from that tree.
So, see, here's the thing. I just asked a very specific question that's going to expose the flaw in your thinking, and instead of answering it, you answered a different question. So here we go. Before they ate from the tree, did they know right from wrong?
No.
Okay, if they didn't know right from wrong, how could they possibly know that it was wrong to disobey God and eat from that tree?
If I tell my child not to do something,
I'm sorry, Marjorie, your child already knows right from wrong. Adam and Eve did not know right from wrong. How can you punish someone for doing something wrong if they didn't know it was wrong?
Yeah, just let that marinate in your spirit.
I never said why I left. I left because she literally beat the shit out of me.
Oh, wow.
Like when in the hospital at UCLA.
Damn.
She walked up and she kicked me, she slapped me, and she said, "This is your fault. You should have let me die like Marilyn." And she had tried to unalive herself right before that, and I stopped her. She tried to jump out of the car.
Did she apologize later?
No.
Dang.
And that was the issue. Because, you know, look, when I said I wanted to write a book, it had nothing to do with her. You know what I'm saying? It was about my career. She sent me a letter from her lawyer. And I'm like, what? Like, you didn't call me yourself and just be like, you know what I mean? And look, there's been a lot of times where I've done a lot of things for a lot of people and made a lot of people a lot of money.
Is that Mariah Carey?
You know what I mean? And they were an asshole in return. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And, you know, with me, a lot of times, I'm like a cheat code. And no one wants to admit that they used the cheat code. Because it's with their narrative of I did everything myself.
Oh,
Do you know what I'm
man,
saying? So
that hits
it is
home.
what-
I feel that. That sounds like a great majority of relationships I've been in. Not saying that, like, I was perfect. God knows I'm not freaking perfect. I can admit my flaws, and I can have no issue with taking accountability for things I have done wrong. But it's just the fact that, yes,
What are we gonna do on our live?
I'm almost done. I have to keep stopping. So let me finish, okay?
Okay.
All right, thanks, girlie. I freaking lost it. Ah, dang it. Sorry. I have kids, and kids barge into rooms, and they interrupt you and stop you at times, and forgot what I was talking about.
What it is. I'm not bitter about it. I'm not angry about it. I'm just like, you know, if that's the type of person you are, God bless you.
He says he's not bitter. He says he's not angry. But you're letting the world know that Mariah Carey put them paws on you. For what?
Trump is building a database to spy on every single American, and he tapped Palantir to do it, a CIA-funded tech company co-founded by tech billionaire and Republican donor Peter Thiel. In 2010, Thiel shared his real motivations out loud.
We could never win an election because we were in such a small minority, but maybe you could actually unilaterally change the world without having to constantly convince people and beg people and plead with people who are never going to agree with you through a technological means.
Thiel knows his ideology could never win an election because he's skeptical of democracy, believes women shouldn't vote, wrote a book criticizing multiculturalism and diversity, and has defended. What he's arguing is that technology can bypass the need for majority support. That tech is Palantir. The perfect opportunity for Thiel to enact his plan came when Trump enlisted Palantir to build the most expansive surveillance infrastructure in U.S. history. It would integrate
it's a
sensitive records
dystopian
from
for
all
real.
government agencies and use AI to profile behavior and identify individuals deemed risky by the system, giving the government more power than ever. The Trump admin claims more data could help them improve public safety and detect fraud, but we all know that's not what would happen. Former Palantir employees have warned that a centralized system like that could be used to surveil, target, and silence anyone the government disagrees with. It could also be used to influence public opinion. Remember Cambridge Analytica, the company that used data to build psychological profiles on Americans so they could manipulate their voting behavior during the 2016 election? Yeah, it would be like that, but on an even bigger scale.
And we're turning into China.
Even MAGA feels betrayed by this move. Nick Fuentes, a far-right Trump supporter, said, seriously, if Palantir isn't the deep state, then what is? We have to come together to stop this drastic expansion of government control and power.
Now, I ain't gonna lie, that sounds a bit more than spooky. That sounds actually downright scary, man. I mean, eyes on everything that we do? That's a little much. Let me know what you think.
Just imagine you smashing your chick, and then all of a sudden you got the government spying on you. Hey, we said that missionary is the only position you can do.
What is it? You can tell it's red because the cloud over top of it, you can see it.
Yeah.
What is that, bro? And the sun don't even go over that far because I've been seeing the sun earlier and it wasn't in that position. It was way past that. What is that, bro?
What is that?
Hey, bro, they just right there. I ain't scared. I don't live in fear. Shoot. What is that, though? If the sun set over there, what is that?
Check that out up there, y'all.
Oh, that's dope.
Check that out.
I wish we still created buildings like this. Like, that's just ridiculous.
And I can't even see. It says AL 5924 over there. And then on this side it says 1924. This is Springfield, Massachusetts.
Massachusetts. I can't even.
Conservatory.
I just say Massachusetts.
Bro,
that's how I say
look
it.
Look at that Freemason Square right up in there. Double-headed eagle, a sword. How wild's that, bro? How wild is that?
Got the Freemason symbol too, so it looked like.
Wicked. Wicked wild. Wicked wild. Wicked. This is the cornerstone right here. Check this out.
What we about to see? Yep. Mason symbol.
AL 5924. The stone was laid on St. John's Day, June. All right. V's and U's used to be switched out. V's and U's, June 80, 1924.
I'm gonna start writing V instead of U.
Could actually be living among us disguised as humans. Not kidding. Montana Technical University professor Dr. Michael P. Masters was part of that study, and he joins us right now. Michael, good morning to you.
Sounds about right.
Morning. Thanks for having me on.
I believe
it's good
it.
to have you. Professor, wasn't
I
that
can
the
so see
ending
aliens
of,
living amongst
Men
us.
in Black, the movie where at the end they had the screen full of people who were, or rather aliens, living amongst us?
It's been a while since I've seen that one, but it's certainly a possibility. The subject does make its way into a lot of pop culture, so it's certainly possible.
So, Doctor,
Daddy whispered aliens.
What is the chances of this? I mean, it seems like every year we have some type of story that it could be true.
Yeah, well,
yep,
that's
aliens.
The thing is we're very cautious and conservative in writing this paper, and mostly what we're trying to do here is look at the oddities and the weirdness of the UFO phenomenon, which we can acknowledge is real. And as much as this might be difficult to swallow for some of my...
I ain't swallowing shit.
my colleagues and for a large percentage of the population, it's important to start moving the conversation past are UFOs real and past the cockpit videos and the testimonies in front of Congress and the whistleblowers and a Schumer amendment and so many things that indicate that this should be taken seriously, and move the needle a little farther into the realm of, well, what are they? Who are they? What could they be doing? Why are they here? And that's a big part of why
That's the thing that's getting me. I'm like,
And I know in the paper you talk a little bit about, you know, why do we always see
they're
these
getting
things
me
around
with that.
lakes and things like that, or volcanoes? And so the suggestion is,
It's okay
you
to
know,
talk.
just conjecture, but maybe they came here a long time ago and they've been hiding out there for a while.
Yeah, that's a great question. And sort of the reason I was involved in this study is I've written 3 books over the last 5 years looking at whether they could potentially be future humans coming back through time. And one aspect of this crypto-terrestrial model that we discussed is exactly that they could potentially be extraterrestrial coming from a different planet, and they just set up shop here as it's easier to travel across the cosmos. Same thing with this extraterrestrial model, that if they were coming from our future, rather than jumping back and forth through time, if they set up shop underground, under the seas, as you're alluding to, possibly on the far side of the moon, it would
I've been
save a
saying
lot
that.
of
I was
time
like,
and
look,
energy, and they
aliens
could
got to be in
conduct
the
whatever
water.
it is these activities are that are so important to them here with us at this time in this place and without all of the need for constant travel.
We have taken over the land and destroying the land. What's up, Entertainment League? We are destroying the land, so it makes sense on why everything else would hide from us. We are destructive, and that's probably the reason why they say that we are demons.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
I
a
don't
great
even know
point. And
if
you're
they
right.
really.
One of the things
Yeah,
that we look
I can
at
see
is
why they would
humanity
say we're
walking
demons.
amongst
I'm
us. And I know that
fucking
again
evil ass
conjures up
people.
these outlandish notions of some people being aliens, and you're eating breakfast and there's an alien across the cafe. But what we're saying, I know, and we definitely are the first to acknowledge that a lot of this can seem a little crazy. But again, if you think about them,
It only
in
seems
the
crazy because
context
of the fact that
future
we've been
humans, and
lied
that's
to
just
for so
one
long.
potential
So now
possibility here,
reality
we would share a lot of physiological
is
characteristics
going to
with
seem
them, have
very
the opportunity to interbreed.
insane.
We could hybridize across time.
We've created our own
potentially
image
across
of what
space.
what is
and
real.
there are, it's important to point out too that
And we try to erase
sciences, the Dr.
reality
Mitchell Foundation,
and change
all of
history.
These studies have shown there are people with extraordinary abilities like psi abilities, remote viewing, and things like
Very
that.
interesting stuff.
Study report.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, it's happening. You know, if you think that we're the only beings on the earth, you got to wake up, get your head out of the sand for a fact.
Facts.
You know, there's
Hey.
human beings, and then there are other beings. Some people might call them demons. Some people might
I'm
call
a-
them interdimensional beings. Some people call them aliens. You know, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, they're around. They're here.
They
you
are.
know, for a fact.
Facts
Let me know
on
what
facts.
you think, though.
But hey, I really enjoy watching them. I am going to have family. Everything you need is in your family. Relax.